Game 6 of the NBA playoffs is Tuesday night in Milwaukee. Will the Phoenix Suns win and force a Game 7? Or will the Milwaukee Bucks win their first NBA title in nearly 50 years? Every professional league has their own unique playoff structure. Which one is the best? And Tom Brady played all of last season with a torn MCL? What? How did he do it? Should he have done it? We're going to talk about these topics right here, right now, on one of the fastest growing sports talk shows in the country. Welcome to First Impression Sports Talk. And now, here's your host, Jasmine Pollock.
Thank you to our announcer, Kelly Johnson. That was amazing. Tonight, we're going to get into some topics like I said before, so let's get started. All right, everyone, welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Today, the first topic of the night, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals. The Milwaukee Bucks took a commanding 3-2 lead on Sunday or Saturday, and it's going to be, man, I think Milwaukee's going to win. But just to get started, what were your guys' reactions, Jeremiah, to the Bucks beating the Suns in the way they did in that game, in Game 5?
When it came to Game 5, the Milwaukee Bucks, I can say calm and poised. When it came to the Phoenix Suns, you can see them in the first quarter when they came out. They came out with lightning, hot fire, shooting 78% from the field. And, I was just I was just watching the game with my mom actually that day. And I was telling her, I don't want them to do so much and then they're going to burn out. But then they just did exactly that. The second half, Drew Holiday, he went on a complete tear. Scoring mostly 18 points through that whole time that he was in the first half alone. And then, of course, Middleton and Giannis, they had a pretty decent double digits at the first half. But Drew Holiday was the key, the defense. And then everybody just joined along. It wasn't too much of, trying to do too much, but just doing what's right at the time. And I feel like just going down that stretch and everything else, although Phoenix Suns try to come back at the end and everything else, but when it comes to the Phoenix Suns, to me, Devin Booker, he cannot do it all alone. When it comes to him, he had his 40-something points, but at the same time, if you look at everything else from the bench, when it comes to Jay Crowder, he had through the whole game, I believe 8 or 10 points, and all of those came in the first half. Bridges didn't really contribute. Aiden, he had his regular double digits, but it wasn't, over the top. And when it came to Chris Paul, he tried to come and have a great game in the fourth quarter, but, it's kind of a little too late. And I feel like Milwaukee took a big advantage, and I feel like they're going to win the championship.
Sonny, what do you think? Do you think the Suns lost it or the Bucks won it? What is your opinion on that?
Oh, I absolutely think the Bucks won it. I think that they really took it to another level. I think Middleton and Holiday, it's like during the series, it's like the light bulb clicked that they're, two of the best players in the world. And I think the last few games, they really showed that, especially last night, in the last game with Holiday, the way he stepped up, his defensive pressure, took Chris Paul out of it. Basically just took his influence out of the game. And in previous games, it kind of hurt his offense as well, but he allowed his offense to flourish as well. So I think that they really put a stamp on this series, and it's going to be really tough for the Suns to win.
I agree. I definitely think the biggest mistake for the Suns was definitely that Game 4 winning that. They should have won that Game 4 in Milwaukee. I think they're looking back at that game as we should have had that game. And I think, to me, I think this series is over. I think the Bucks are going to wrap it up at home. I don't see the Suns beating Milwaukee 2 straight games. I just don't see it and getting it back to Phoenix. I think, and honestly, for my MVP, I'm not picking Giannis to be. I actually think Middleton. I think he stepped up because I've been so critical on him for the past couple of years when they've been to the playoffs. I'm like, where Giannis needs help, and he's finally getting that help. And Middleton is playing very well in these playoffs. So I think Milwaukee will definitely win this series. And I just think that this is going to be, even though Chris Paul is still going to be considered a Hall of Famer and stuff like that, but I think this will be a really huge stain if they don't make it through the series, which I don't think. I think this will be a very big stain on his legacy. But Darian, do you think that for Chris Paul, do you think that, like I said before, do you think this will put a stain on his legacy if he does not win?
Yeah, I do. I would say that because with Chris, with him being 2-0, going up 2-0 in this series, and then now in the process now falling behind, now having to come back by 3-2, down 3-2, that's a lot. And he has the experience, he has that mental toughness of coming back or trying to come back or being down in the series. But at the same time too, that kind of same thing has hurt him. I do think it would take a stain on him. Don't get me wrong. I personally think CP is a top 10 point guard, period. I think he is. I do believe this series, I heard everybody. I heard you, Jasmine. I think the Suns can come back. I have hope. The only reason I have hope is I do think Chris Paul will come back game 6. He's injured. I will give him that. But I do think he'll come back, game 6 and come back game 7 and make that stand for his legacy. I do think that. He's not going to go out on I do believe probably his one and only shot at the finals. Unless he goes to a finals contender if he decides to leave Phoenix. This is his only shot. He's not going to let that go. He's going to make sure he gets the job done.
Okay, I can see that. I feel it's gonna be tough though. It's just very, very hard because I think for me, I think the youth of Devin Booker is showing. I think him being on this young team, this is the first time these guys been in a situation. And of course for Chris Paul's first time being in the finals, but he has that experience of going to different battles. So I think for him, if he does not win this series, it's going to be a very huge stand on him because everybody looks at you as a leader. So definitely we're going to see, and I still think Milwaukee will close this out. Follow me, everyone, on Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. That's going to be on YouTube. Definitely follow me on Instagram at GameSpace_sports. And if you want to contact me, definitely contact me on LinkedIn at Jasmine Pollock. Heading into the next topic, we're going to head into a much broader topic, is what sports league that we watch or may not watch has the best playoff brackets or format. And I want to start with you, Darian. Which sports in general, which sport has the best playoff format to you?
I was toying with this. I had a little toying with this. I'm stuck between. I'm gonna lean towards more the NBA. I'm a basketball fan. I love the playoff structure of the NBA of 2-2-1-1-1. I like that. However, I am a fan of the new NFL kind of playoff where the play-in with everything else. I like that, but I'm going to go more towards the NBA. I think the NBA structure as far as the playoffs go, you have the two teams that, the team with the better seed or the home advantage gets those two first games, really the home field advantage going into the playoffs. So you have those two first and then going into the opponent's home those two games. And now it's a best of 3. I like that because it puts the onus back on, and we're looking at it now with this series. This is a prime example of this series of now when your back is against the wall, you won 2, you lost 2, really 3, and going back home. Now what are you going to do with those last 2? So I would go leaning towards more of the NBA.
Okay, Sonny, who do you think the NBA is the best? Has the best playoff bracket, or do you have another better playoff bracket?
Well, actually, I think NBA has the worst because they have so many teams that get in the playoffs. More than half of the teams get in the playoffs. Even when they expanded, almost 60% of the team get in the playoffs. But you look at history, only the first and second seeds typically win the championship. I think it's like 65 out of 74 years.
Very true.
First and second seeds. The fourth seed won one, and the sixth seed won one time. And then the rest, so I think that whole playoff system, they can cut it down to 6 teams in each league and each conference and call it a day. But I think the Major League Baseball has the best playoffs. It's only 10 teams. They've expanded it, and it's still only 10 teams. The only thing I don't like is that 1 game playoff for a baseball game, because the home team has such an advantage because they hit last. But the beauty of baseball is the wild card teams do have the habit of winning World Series. It's possible. It's a little more open, a little more possibility for other teams to win it. So I had to go with baseball.
Do you think also, Sonny, about how now they're doing the play-in tournament? What do you think about that? Do you think that would change your stance on that?
No. If they did a play-in for 5th and 6th seed,
gotcha.
Then I'll be okay with it. But now you're down to 10 teams. They have no shot anyway. It's a waste of time, in my opinion.
Jeremiah, do you think the NBA has the worst playoff bracket?
The worst, I wouldn't go that far, because you see what happens when it comes to the college football sometimes. Who gets the entry inside and who can, actually do those. To me, I like the NBA. Of course, my bracket, I would say, is the best is probably college basketball. But I'm gonna tell you why NBA is going probably into a great direction. Everything else is because actually, to me, I was kind of skeptical about the play-in tournament, but actually watching it this past, playoffs and everything else, with the Warriors and the Lakers, and then you had the Washington versus Indiana. Those were kind of, like do or die games. You would just watch, and even the Celtics inside of there, and you could just watch to see like how interesting those games were. Like they were already playoff games right then there because of the drive and to try to get for those 7 to 8 spots. But I do agree with him when it comes to they'll fight for those spots, but then they'll get knocked right out of within the 1 or 2 seeds. But anything can happen. And I choose mostly the college basketball as the best bracket because, to be honest with you, it's nothing like getting to those the brackets, going to the Sweet 16 and also to the different championships and stuff. Is you can see just the happiness, the heartbreak, and so many things that anybody can get in each and every year. It's just so different each time that it goes.
I agree. I really do like college basketball. I love the bracket. I think it's really cool because even we saw it last year. You had that one team, Gonzaga, who was dominating, quote unquote, and then a Baylor team who no one expected to come through, and they came through and did their thing. But to me, I think even though I love the NFL, I think the NFL's playoff bracket is it's getting better. I think just seeing how the Bucks were the 5th seed and they came out, and then just seeing in past history a lot of these teams who are like in lower seeding and they come out and do their thing. But when it comes to the NFL, it's like you have that one game. They have that one game that you can either, it's do or die, that one game. You can't have another game to expect greatness, So I think, when you look at the NBA, I think the NBA does need a lot of work, but it's very unfortunate that in NFL you have only one game. And I think that we've seen a lot of times where, you're just like, dang, that team, if they had more time, if they had that extra, play, some of the offense may not even see the ball again. So I do like college basketball, but the NBA, of course, you always want to have, even in hockey, I think hockey's cool too. When you have different games in one series, I think it's really, really cool. But do you guys think for NFL, like even when it comes to the overtime ruling, what do you guys feel about that? And I'll start with you, Sonny, about the overtime ruling, if that plays a role in that also.
Yeah, they probably need to tweak that. It's just, it doesn't always seem like it's fair. If a team gets the ball first and they score, it's a tough situation there.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of how they do it. I think they just play the whole quarter, and whoever wins at the end of the quarter wins.
Yeah, I agree with that. So heading into the next topic, follow me on Instagram at GameSpace_sports. Follow me on YouTube or subscribe to my YouTube channel at GameSpace Sports Content, and contact me on LinkedIn at Jasmine Pollock. So the final topic of the night, obviously Tom Brady. He played the whole season apparently with an MCL tear. And we saw what that team did last year. They won the Super Bowl, and they were the first team in NFL history to win in their own stadium, in their own city. So starting with Darian, does this strengthen Tom Brady's GOAT debate? Like, he played the whole season and he won a Super Bowl being on one leg. What do you think about that?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Listen, Sonny said it, before. Listen. He's a GOAT. As a Giants fan, I like to talk mess. As a fan of sports, being realistic,
Right.
he's the GOAT. One of the best to ever do it. However, when you hide injuries from the league to better yourself and better your chances at a championship, and the league now just finds out, or if they probably didn't know, whatever the case may be. No, I put a little asterisk. If I could do an imaginary asterisk on the screen, that's an asterisk right there. I do not. No, not at all. Still a GOAT.
Yeah.
No, not the
Sonny,
best.
do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I'm just curious why he brought it up this late after it's all said and done.
Right.
I think it detracts from the reason they actually won the Super Bowl was because of their defense. So I don't know why he even brought it up now. Maybe he's trying to get I don't know. But I agree with him. It's like it should have been brought up during the year, whether he had an injury or not. So that definitely violated league rules some kind of.
Yeah.
And also, I'm curious, like how bad of the tear could have been. It might have been,
Right.
Something that most players are dinged up at the end of by the time of the end of the year. And a lot of players are playing with probably torn this and torn that, and they're not talking about it. So I'm just curious why he brought it up.
Right, I agree. When it comes to Brady and his GOAT discussion, Brady's one of the greats. That man, what he's done throughout the course of his career, I think it's extraordinary. And even playing to his age that he is now, I think it's very extraordinary. You always want to look at him leaving the Patriots and then going to the Bucs his first year and winning a Super Bowl and making history while making Super Bowl. But for me, when it comes to this, though, it's like you guys said before, why are you telling us now? Why is this happening now? Are you trying to, strengthen? Oh man, Brady is just, he's like the Superman, and it's just, I don't know. Just Brady, I think Brady, he knows how to pull in the masses also. I think he knows how to market very well. So I think for that, I don't think it strengthens. I think it's a very interesting thing that, okay, you played throughout the whole season with the apparent injury, but it's still questionable. You could have violated some rules, but definitely it doesn't. I still think he's one of the greats anyway, regardless if he had a tear or didn't have a tear. You did something that a lot of guys may not ever be able to do. But Jeremiah, do you think this strengthens Tom Brady's case, like we said before, about being like, does this solidify him as the GOAT?
No, I would say this does nothing towards his legacy or anything that's like that. I'll tell you why he came out with this information now, and that was to that main man that's in New England, Belichick.
Yeah.
This is another type of shot to just say, I did this with that, I did this, because Brady, I don't even know why he kind of came out with this. It's kind of like a blindsided. It's like you hear the information and you're like, okay. I mean, it's not like you're the a great athlete and everything. It's for you to be always kind of on it and everything else. But Brady has to also take this to account too. When it came to this year, it wasn't like you guys were like big undefeated and everything else. You guys were close to almost being in the wild card at a certain point. Like, so, and I'm gonna give them credit because when it came to their defense, they had one of the greatest defenses in the NFL this past season, and they did a terrific thing. But for Brady to bring this up, I feel like it's just so non-relevant, and I feel like he should have just left this in the vault because for now it's going to be causing more problems for him, and just like I think he just want to have it as a bragging right for himself.
I think now that Brady's with the Bucs, I think now he wants to have every which way to try to throw shots at Bill Belichick. And I mean, of course it's amusing. You know, we want to see that with the Brady versus Belichick. How are they going to do without each other? And we saw what happened. But I just think that I think he should have kept it to himself. I mean, you still won. You guys still got the ring. You still have a championship. You got your 7th. So I want to ask you guys. Let's start with Darian. Are the Bucs going back? Will Brady get his 8th ring, or he will never go back to the Super Bowl? What's going to happen?
I don't think that they'll go back again this year. I don't. Do I think that he will get to another Super Bowl? Possibly. It's Brady. We can't count him out. I tried millions of times every season since he was been with New England, and I've been wrong every single time. So yeah. I will not count him out. I mean, I will say this though. I was reading an article over Yahoo Sports, and they were talking about that, and they said that with Brady having an injury, one of the reasons why it probably wasn't one of the hundreds of reasons why it wasn't disclosed, those defensive players are coming at Brady. So now that they know this injury has happened to him from the transition from New England to Tampa Bay this season, he's getting hit. He will get hit. They do not care whether it is accidental or not. They will go after him. There will be blitzes. So that offensive line better be ready because they're not going to play with Brady this year.
Sonny, what do you think about that? You think they're coming after him now that this has came out?
Yeah, that's probably a likelihood to that. But like he mentioned, I rooted against Brady.
Yes.
I know November 22nd they'll catch one L, but outside of that, they they brought back most of their players. They still have that defense. I think that they have a really good chance of repeating. I've learned not to root against them. So there's a good chance that he's going to repeat if he stays healthy.
A very good chance, I think, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. But I want to thank you guys for coming in and giving you guys insight. I thought this was an amazing night of talking about sports. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Kelly Johnson, for being the voiceover. That was amazing. Thank you, Dr. J. Thank you, Leon, for making this happen. Thank you, the audience, for tuning in and just being involved and supporting. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next Monday here on Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk.
Okay.